All right, welcome everybody. My name is Lydia Creasy with Lydia's Home Team and Remax Alliance, and we are so excited to have you guys join our webinar tonight, either on the webinar or on Facebook Live. So thanks for joining us. This is actually a webinar that we get super excited about hosting every year because it's really something that's right in our wheelhouse, is kind of bringing your home to its best potential. And that could mean whether you guys are just buying a house or thinking about buying a house, or whether you've been in your home forever and you just need to make some needed updates, or if you're thinking about selling your home sometime in the near future and you want to make some strategic updates that are really going to boost your resale value. So we're going to talk about all that tonight. So super excited about that, and wanted to also introduce my amazing team, Jim and Sherry. So I'll let Jim start off with a quick introduction because he's super integral in a lot of this process for us as well.
Hey there, I'm Jim Dixon. Yeah, I've been a realtor for 5 years now on Lydia's Home Team. We do a lot to help our sellers get their houses ready for listing. We do a lot to help our buyers kind of make it the home they want. And then I do a lot of fix and flips on my own too. So I have a good network of contractors that I work with. So if people kind of come to us all the time asking for help with certain things, so we can always get them pointed in the right direction. So the main panelist here tonight is an interior designer. She does amazing things, which I do not do. So all in all, you're going to get a lot of great info here tonight.
Okay. All right. Sherry, or let's do a quick intro for Sherry too. Sherry is also, I'll let her talk for a minute, but she has been kind of who's brought a lot of this into our team in the first place. Her eye for all the modern trends and everything is just irreplaceable. So go ahead.
I am Sherry. I have been a real estate agent with Lydia for actually going on 10 years. It'll be 10 years in just a month or so. So that's been a real nice milestone for me. But before that, I did a lot of design work. And design has always been my passion. So this is like my fun night. However, as good as or as design savvy as I might think I am, Channing, who is with us tonight, is tops. I love her. And she actually came and helped me do my house as well, which is still a work in progress. So Channing, I will be meeting you again this year. But it's a really wonderful thing to be able to get a designer in and really chat with them. So tonight she's just going to go give us a really lovely overview. Actually, it's going to be pretty in depth for the time that we have. But feel free at the end of this to ask questions. Ask questions all the way along. We would like it to be pretty interactive. So if you have a question, you can put it in the chat, the question and answer box or the chat box. I'll be monitoring that as well. So if we have any Q&As during, please feel free to ask away. We want to bring this up as fairly interactive as we can. So with that said, Channing, would you like to take it away?
Yes, thank you guys so much for inviting me to be with you. Getting to know you guys has been really wonderful, and just the way you run your business and how great you are with people and to people. I'm very honored that you would have me come and help you with this again. And so basically, I am an interior designer. I've been doing this for about almost 8 years. And I'm not I didn't go to school for this. I actually went to law school, and I just was led into this in a lot of ways. It's in my blood. My mom did this. And so my goal really was to make design accessible to people like me that don't necessarily have custom designed homes. They can't necessarily build their house from scratch exactly how they'd want it. They're moving into like a semi-custom or a builder grade house, and they want to make it feel special. And so I just really wanted to bring this to people like my friends, my neighbors. And so that's really the goal of my business, Functional Fresh Living. And just to make sure that your space functions for you and it's not so pretty that you can't live in it, that it's durable, that it's lasting. So that's really my goal. So today we can kind of move to the next slide, and we're going to go over a few different things. I know, especially if you're staying or if you're selling, paint for me, even as a designer, paint is the most overwhelming, difficult decision. I think because there's so many choices that it quickly gets out of control, and you're spending hundreds of dollars on paint samples, and you're just making yourself more and more confused. So sometimes I really feel that hiring a designer, and nowadays we're much more accessible and affordable than maybe in 20 years ago. And you can sometimes just get designers to pay by the hour, or you can even find paint specialists through Sherwin-Williams, through different vendors. And it can be really, really helpful to helping you narrow down your paint choices. But again, excuse me, you want to stay pretty neutral if you're selling. I put a couple palettes on here that I just pulled off Pinterest. It's a great place to start. And then what I always suggest is going to the paint store, picking out your top 4, bringing them home, putting them on the wall or on a white piece of paper on your wall, on a couple walls, and looking at them throughout the day in different lights to see if you still like them. But again, if you're staying in your home and you want to do something a little more brave, you can go a little more moody and a little more classic. If you're selling, I always say stay neutral, because not everybody has the vision to bring a moody room to life. So that's kind of where I stand on paint, but we'll go into it a little more on the next slide. So over my years doing this, I've really whittled down my favorite white paint colors. I say that in parentheses because there's none of them are actually white. There's so many shades of white. It's totally crazy. But I've really narrowed it down to some of my favorites. And they're not the favorites that you see a lot on Pinterest. I've really found my own special kind of set that I like. And so we're going to go through those, and I'll describe the different whites and neutral colors that I feel are really safe to use in your home if you're selling or staying. And the first one you can see over here, excuse me, I'm recovering from a cold, is White Heron. And that's by Sherwin-Williams. And it's really a warm white that makes your house feel really lived in and warm. It reminds me of kind of that Tuscany, older like vibe that it's just lived in. You don't feel like you're in a museum. You don't feel like you're in a, really sterile doctor's office. It's really warm and lived in. And you can see a picture of a home I did, and you can kind of see it on the back wall. We did a lot of neutral tones in that room, and it looks good with bright white. So if your ceilings are bright white, your trim is bright white, and you're not painting those things, this looks really pretty with bright white. And then the next one is Stone Hearth, and this is a Benjamin Moore color, and it's a deeper neutral, but oh my gosh, it's so beautiful on cabinets. It's so beautiful on built-ins. It's great if you want to paint your doors, your interior doors, without doing like black. And you can paint also the casing around your door to really make it feel special. And it looks great with White Heron. It looks good with all these neutral colors. You could just do your walls White Heron and then put the Stone Hearth on the ceiling. You can really mix and match a lot of these colors, but I like that if you want a little bit of depth without, going too crazy. And you can see we painted a board and batten that color in this home. It was like a 1970s home, and we just wanted to kind of freshen it up. And it goes really nice with wallpaper and whites and neutrals. And then the next one is Alabaster, and it's a brighter, crisper white, but it's not stark. So this is great in if you have a lot of light. It's great in a space like that. It's if you want a little bit more modern feel, a little bit crisper. It's a great choice. There's not a ton of undertones under it. It can read a little bit green, but it's a natural white. And then Wind's Breath. I love this color. It is a great color for your whole house. Like if you're fixing and flipping, Jim, and you just want to go in and pick one color for all the walls, this is a beautiful, beautiful choice. It's warm. It's not going to get as beat up as White Heron. But when it's on all the walls, it's going to feel really light and airy and bright. So great for fix and flips. Great if you just are overwhelmed and you just want to paint your whole house a color and then go room by room and add accents. And then Simply White. And this one's by Benjamin Moore. It has 0 undertones. It is a really nice white if you want to paint your cabinets. It's a really great white for your whole house. You can see it in that office. It has a little bit more of like an art museum kind of vibe, but it's really neutral and beautiful. So those are my go-to whites. I hope that makes it more simple for everybody so you're not feeling so overwhelmed. But those are the ones I really love, and mixing and matching. I love Wind's Breath with White Heron. You can see that on the entryway photo. The board and batten is the Wind's Breath and the wall color is the White Heron. And it's a very subtle, like monotone change between the two, but it brings a lot of interest. And then if you're feeling bold, and let's say you are staying in your home for a while, or you do want to add a little punch, one of the big kind of trends right now is doing deep, rich, earthy colors that can feel really moody and cozy. And my suggestion is I like these, as long as they're found like in nature, then I think you're pretty safe for a long time of liking them. So a few of mine that I really love, if you're looking for a good blue, Cheating Heart by Benjamin Moore is gorgeous. It even looks really good with black. It looks good with White Heron. It looks good with green. Like, it's a really rich, beautiful blue. And you can see that on the left-hand side. Like, it is really dark, but in a like a masculine office. This was a room we turned into kind of like a big lounge area in this house. And adding gold accents to that, adding wood, walnut with that color, it's so beautiful. And then the next one is called Vintage Vogue. And this is a really nice green. This is beautiful on moldings, on paneling. I've done it on a ceiling. It just really, it's pretty timeless. If you want to go bold and you want to go dark, Vintage Vogue is a really timeless way to dip your toe into that. And then the next one is Cascades, and that's a Sherman-Williams color. And that one, you know, that's kind of like a watercolor. You're going to find that at a lake or a beach. It's a little more of the teal. I don't think it's quite as timeless, but it really serves its purpose in certain houses. And this house was really dark, and my clients felt like it just needed to be livened up. And so they chose this color. We chose it together, and it really accented their walnut floors, their white stone. We added some interest with how we paneled the door, but that's actually their TV zone. It was just an open drywalled thing, and they had young kids. And so we wanted to create a door where they could stuff all the toys when people came over and shut the door, and everything looked clean. And then the next one is Tricorn Black. This is one of my favorite blacks, especially if you have one of those red oak railings in your home, or you're fixing and flipping and the stair railings really beat up. The easiest and least expensive way to make that look more expensive, paint it like a nice satin semi-gloss Tricorn Black, and it automatically makes your house look 100 times better. I use that on front doors. I think I read somewhere, and you guys might know better, but they say painting your front door black can increase the value of your home by like $8,000 or something. So
Yeah,
sometimes, yeah, tell me, Sherry.
it is. I mean, it does. There's Zillow's done some studies on it where I think you can get 5 to 10% more, or not 5% to 10%, 5 to 10,000 more for your house with a black door on it, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's
So I-
crazy. And I mean, you can do that yourself with a roller,
Yeah.
you know, and I've painted doors myself. I'm not a DIY whiz, but I mean, that's a really easy way for your clients to update their homes and add value. This Rockwood dark green is another really nice earthy green that looks really great flanking on cabinetry next to like creams and whites. It just kind of brings that like British timeless elegance to a space and allows you to get a little bit moody without going crazy. So these are some of my favorite moody colors right
Hey,
now.
Channing, I have a quick question for you on the doors. So are you still seeing a lot of people prefer like to have like black interior doors or dark interior doors, like bedroom doors?
So there's a place for all of it. I think if you're really designing your house and you have a real vision, or you're working with a designer, black doors are great because you can really make them work.
Uh-huh.
It's a little dangerous for people to do on their own if they don't know how to tie it in with the rest of their house. But let's say you painted your railing black, maybe you painted your mantle black, then pulling in a black door fits, it works. I would say if someone's doing this themselves and they're just trying to, make their house updated, use that the stone hearth on the slide before, where it's a slightly darker than your wall color, but it's not black.
Gotcha. Okay. And if anybody else has questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we can chat about them as we go too.
Okay, Alyssa, let's see what's next. So this is a huge trend right now. I love this, but this can be pretty scary for people. I'm not sure why, because painting baseboards is just as easy as painting walls, but even for me, it feels like I'm breaking the law. So I would say start with a light color. If I want to do this in my home and I want to do it in a light color in my big open spaces. So that second picture is a nice way to dip your toe into color drenching. And basically what it is you use one color or a shade of one color to paint your entire space, your trim, your ceiling, your cabinetry. And then it's important though, you want to use different sheens. So on your floorboards, on your trim, you want to use something a little more shiny, a little more wipeable, cleanable. So you'll use something like a semi-gloss. And then on your ceiling, you want a matte ceiling so you don't have a lot of reflection. And then on your walls, you can do an eggshell or satin. Different paint companies call their eggshell and satin different things, but they're the same. And then if you're brave enough, doing a deep moody color or something a little brighter, I feel like dip your toe in this and do a nursery or an office, a closed in space, a bathroom, something kind of removed from the other rooms in your house. So you have a good ending point. And that's kind of where I'd start. But boy, this is timeless. I was rewatching Downton Abbey and I'm like, they were doing this in 1907. This trend has been around a really long time. It is really timeless. Your color choice is what would make it not as timeless. But I say if you have a closed-in space, an office, a nursery, a bedroom, try this, a small bathroom, give it a go. And then next, okay, so let's talk about if you are redesigning your home to stay in it. We get to have a little more fun this way, and you get to show a little more of your personality if you're designing for yourself. So let's see our next slide. So have fun in small spaces, especially because it's less expensive if you don't like it in 5 years. So I say, show your personality in small spaces. This was like a custom grade, boring bathroom. We found a pretty inexpensive vanity online. We didn't have the fixtures installed yet here, but the sink faucet, but you can get a really nice vanity for $800 or sometimes even less. You can get really inexpensive mirrors. And this board and batten came this was a sheet, and you can just install it, add a trim piece at the top, and then add your wallpaper. The one thing I'll say about wallpaper in a bathroom is if there's a lot of humidity, a lot of moisture, I avoid wallpaper. But in a half bath where there's no shower, go for wallpaper. And then, adding a light fixture, you can find great light fixtures for $89, $100 on Amazon. And they just make a really big impact. And this wallpaper was like a dupe of a wallpaper that was going to be almost $3,000 to do this small space. And we found this dupe on Wayfair, and it came in at like $400. So you really can find beautiful things. This is not your grandma's wallpaper. There's amazing wallpapers out there now that are much, much easier to remove, much easier to install. The one thing I'll say with wallpaper is if you have really textured walls, you do need someone, or if you can do it yourself, to come in and knock that texture down and make it really smooth, or you'll see where they butt up in the seams. So that would be my ones. If you barely have any texture, you can just, wallpaper right over that. If you're doing peel and stick wallpaper, oftentimes with that, you don't have to knock down the wall texture. It just kind of depends on the backing of your wallpaper. But I love mixing wallpaper with board and batten. If this whole room was wallpaper, it would feel really busy. And so I like mixing those two things. It's kind of like a mullet, like crazy on top and then calm on the bottom. So I kind of like that combo. And the next side, you're going to see a wild bathroom. So this is like a go all in. If you are creative and you have a vision, express that vision in a small space. And this is maximalism. So we'll talk about minimalism when we get to when you're selling your house. This is maximalism. If you're staying in your house and you want to make it special, like take your tile to the ceiling, add a wallpaper and a bright tile. Again, look at a chandelier in a bathroom, very unexpected. Things you'll notice are how the hardware is on the back of the wall instead of the top of the sink. All those little details make this bathroom really, really special. I would picture this, in a higher end home. This is from a friend of mine who's a designer in Texas. So we know everything in Texas is a little bigger and crazier. But I do think she pulled everything together so beautifully. And I think she did a very good job for what she was going for. But you really can. By adding tile to the ceiling, it makes that teeny tiny room feel a lot larger. And the large light fixture also makes the space feel bigger. So just because you have a small space doesn't mean you can't make it look larger. It doesn't mean you can't have fun with it. Another place to have a lot of fun is in your mudroom. And you can really personalize this for your family, for your life. If you have a dog, this client had a dog wash station. Some people really like having a sink in their mudroom. Get crazy on the tile again. It's not as expensive if you want to do this as it is to redo your kitchen, but it's a way to show your personality. Again, cabinets can be painted, for a couple $1,000s down the line if you're sick of this in 10 years. But when this kind of thing, I always say, hire a designer. If you're going to start bringing in multiple patterns of tiles and bright colors, like most people need a little guidance or it can get out of control really quickly. And then our next slide, let's see what we have next. Okay, so now we're moving on to our bedroom. This is one of my favorite rooms to do for clients because as a mom of young children, I remember when my house was a mess, being able to just walk into my room at the end of the day and feel a slight sense of like calm and peace did wonders for me. And so I always want to just create like a sanctuary for my clients when I'm doing their bedroom. And I know if you have lived in a home a while, maybe your carpet's not in the best shape. Maybe you don't like your carpet anymore. I'm all for layering a flat weave rug or a low pile rug over your carpet. And you can get patterns and colors, and pretty soon your carpet disappears and you don't even notice it. It's such an easy way to update your bedroom. And you can get large scale rugs really inexpensively on Wayfair, rugs.com, things like that. You can get an 8x10 rug sometimes for like $399. TJ Maxx, great rugs at TJ Maxx. One thing I always tell clients is like a simple fix. Update your ceiling fan to something streamlined and simple, not a lot of dangly things, not a big light and craziness, and you can get those pretty inexpensively too. And then just a new bed with a nice padded headboard. You can get king size beds for $300 on Wayfair. And I would just get like a padded bed in a neutral color. And then just make sure your nightstands are about 4 inches higher than your mattress. You don't want this tall bed and then you have these teeny tiny low, and you don't want a super low bed with really high nightstands. So just making sure they're about 4 inches between the two. I love a great way to save money. It's funny because nightstands are actually really expensive. And I've found that buying small writing desks, they're usually half the price. They're usually taller. And I love using them. They have a drawer and you can really, fill them with the things you really want next to your bed. So you can get a great writing desk for $120 at Target. And then also in like a kid's room, you can do a writing desk on one side as a nightstand. So your child has a desk, and the other side you can do a smaller nightstand. So I love doing that. Layer your lighting. You can always tell when your house has been designed. And Sherry, I know you probably know this, by like how many layers of lighting there are. Are there only overhead lights that are just full blast all the time? Are they on a dimmer? Do you have table lamps? Do you have sconces? Do you have floor lamps? So it's really important to add different layers of light in your home as you're planning out how to decorate. So I always say, if you have a large surface, throw a lamp on there. And warm light bulbs in most areas are the way you want to go. Add a cozy reading chair or a bench at the foot of the bed. This is great for all the men whose wives make them have 100 pillows on the bed. And then at night, you're like, what do I do with all these? You just stack them on the chair. You stack them on the bench. It's perfect. And then you can get great bedding on Amazon or Wayfair. Just opt for like a simple linen or cotton blend for a duvet cover, and then layer a quilt in a similar shade underneath that and kind of fold the duvet back, and then just get 3 matching Euro shams, or you can get the standard shams that match the duvet, throw those on and get a couple front pillows for pizzazz. And it's a really nice way to make your bed feel special and like you want to just jump in. Okay, let's see our next slide. So here's just a sample mood board of a board that I created for some clients that wanted like an modern organic vibe in their house. I usually try to give my clients a couple examples, but you can see that you can redo a bedroom for, under $10,000. And that was with a brand new bed, brand new everything, a rug. And you can also do this in stages. So maybe you just get the rug and the bed, and then down the road, you add a new ceiling fan, you do the bedding. But I like really not having everything match. I love bringing interest, a place for people to sit, put their shoes on, read a book. Those are both writing desks that they could choose from as nightstands. Adding plants, the streamlined ceiling fan, really calm art makes a lot of difference. And you can get new dressers pretty inexpensively. Sometimes you have to put them together yourself. If they're too inexpensive, you're putting that together yourself. So just beware. But this is just like that modern organic. This will last for a very long time.
One
Let's
thing
hear it.
too that I'm seeing a lot of, Channing, and you can kind of tell me, I'm seeing a lot of wireless lamps, with
Yes.
sconces that you can. So people always tell me, they want a sconce over their nightstands, but they don't want to do all the wiring and get the electrician
Mhm.
in there. There are now wireless sconces that you can put up next to your bed. You need to charge them once in a while. With a phone charger. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of that. And then little ones, little nightstands that are also wireless. That can be fun. But I've had one friend of ours started using this little baby sconces over her artwork,
Mhm.
and it really made everything pop. So lots of fun things you can do and think of, especially when we go back to talking about lighting.
Yes, I think I have some of those in the next slide, Sherry. Let's take a
Okay.
look at that next slide. And they are such an easy way to give you that second level of lighting. Um, it's really great. So you can see these. So
Oh,
over on
there
the
they are.
left, these
Yep.
are battery operated sconces. And yeah, you don't even need an electrician. You just pop those babies up wherever you want them on the wall. And there's usually a remote control, and they work beautifully. Um, in this slide, I would just say again, this was for an older client that was downsizing, but she was from England. She really wanted something that felt feminine, and we were on a pretty tight budget. And so we found great products for really inexpensive to pull this room together for her. These rugs are so amazing on Wayfair. They're a paper company, Rifle Paper Company makes these rugs, and you can get an 8x10 for $300, and they're beautiful. So if you're, and they have so many different colors, really great quality, beautiful for the price. And then this was a chandelier we put in there to make it feel really special. But I was showing her, she wanted matchy furniture. And I was telling her, no, we want it to look curated, and we want it to look like you've had these pieces over time and brought them all together. That's kind of the new trend. We don't want everything matchy. We haven't for a while, but really making things feel curated over time. That's kind of the goal. But she really loved blue, but I tried to steer her away from like navy, you know, because she lives in Colorado. She's not on a lake, and just pull in different shades of blue to make it more interesting. But, and we added some wallpaper that it seems like it'd be busy, but it looks really beautiful with the rug. They really complement each other. So you can do fun things like that. But yeah, those are those sconces, and they're really inexpensive and a great way to get some lighting next to your bed, or above you could turn those sideways too and put it over a picture. So just some other things, I kind of already talked about this. Add a chandelier, adds a lot of romance in your bedroom. If you don't want a ceiling fan, I know that's often a battle between partners. Ceiling fan, chandelier, sometimes we all have to compromise. If you have to compromise on the ceiling fan, you can add chandeliers over your nightstands too. And that kind of makes everybody happy. And then pull a color from the wallpaper or the rug, and you can color drench the rest of the room in that color. If one of the walls is wallpaper, it's kind of, even if it's like a lighter color. And then just keep your art peaceful in a bedroom, nothing crazy. I just like calm. You know, we all want to, you know, de-stress when we get home. And then you can do it pretty inexpensively. Like I said, you know, on Wayfair, all these great websites now that make it really accessible and affordable for people. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. I love a monochromatic. That means one color, lots of different shades of that one color. I love doing that in bedrooms. Okay, now I'll take a look at the next slide. This is another big trend. It's these wallpaper murals. These are awesome in a nursery. They come in like more muted, like watercolored landscapes, but you can really have fun. These would be great in an office, if you have a salon, anything like that. These are just really a fun way to kind of add personality. Usually these are peel and stick, super easy to put up, super easy to take down. So interior doors, let's talk a little bit about these things. You know, arches are everywhere. Everybody wants an arch door. That's really expensive. It's beautiful, but it can be really expensive. If you're building, I say build an arch door. If you're remodeling, sometimes that's just not in the cards. So what we did with one client, like the doors on the left, that was that 1970s home. It was a flat panel door, and I just had my contractor add paneling to it, and we painted it, and it made it look like a brand new door, really expensive. And so you can kind of just add trim with the nail gun, or glue, pretty easy. And then farm doors, the function of farm doors I love, but I know farm doors are on their way out, but they're so functional. And so they've created this new farm door, and it's kind of a hidden track. And you can use materials like mirror or a window pane. You can do a flat panel door to make it look really modern. You can do those wood panels, those skinny wood panels. But you can, barn doors are better, in my opinion, than the pocket doors, because they are a lot less expensive to install post construction. So there is still a way to get the farm door functionality without it looking farmy. So it's the hidden track, and it's the modern materials. We'll see. Next, oh yeah, just creating a nice area in your main living area, a way where you can easily pick things up if someone stops by. That's always really important. Baskets to throw things in, hidden storage that you can throw things in. For me, unless you have a closed off living area, but most of us now have an open concept. I say keep that space lighter and add depth with a darker rug, throw pillows, throw blankets, art, your woods that you have in there, and you can kind of warm a space up like that. We were talking about adding different levels of lighting. You can do that. I love putting all my overhead lighting on a dimmer. It's a really inexpensive way to be able to kind of customize your lighting depending on what you're doing. If you have in these great rooms, a sofa with nothing behind it, and you have the room, I say throw a sofa table behind there. It's great for people to sit their drinks on. If you're watching a game, you can pull poofs or bar stools up to it for more seating. And then I love a swivel chair by your fireplace where you can turn and throw your feet up on the fireplace and read a book, or you can spin the chair around and make it more of a conversational zone if you have company over. But those are kind of my favorite things to do in a living area to make it function for everybody. Here's a mood board I did for my neighbors actually. And this was the one with the cascade colored door where we did the barn door where they could throw all their kid stuff in there by the TV zone. And so we took that teal color and we muted it down, and we brought that in the rug and in a chair. That turquoise, the sea foam chair is a swivel chair. So they have a fireplace. They can kind of swivel that chair around. They never wear their shoes in the house. So we wanted to put this other tan chair over by the back door so people could sit down and get their shoes on and off. And so just really making it function. They have young kids, so we wanted a leather ottoman for safety reasons and things like that. And again, you can see these sconces. These are not battery operated, but you could very easily get battery operated sconces for above your art in that room. And then on the far right, I love this. It's a kid's table from Crate and Barrel, but it looks not like a kid's table. So you can kind of still have what your kids need without it looking, like the children's museum. So I love all that, layers of lighting. Nice. This is good if you're staging. These colors are good. These colors will last a very long time.
Channing, one question I've been getting a lot is accent walls. They were out for a long time. Well, they were in, then they were out. I'm hearing are coming back. And that not necessarily just in a different color, but one wallpaper, one grass cloth, one something different on that wall. Is that still happening? Where is that?
Yes, I think you're right. It's shifted. Instead of painting like one wall red, now it's put wallpaper on a couple walls or do paneling. I feel like paneling is the new way to do an accent wall.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of paneling or molding that makes it look like it's paneling.
Yes. That's harder to do with textured walls. You always see it on these DIYs where they're just stapling up the little things. Yeah. If you're not going to knock down your wall and make it really smooth, my advice is to use, excuse me, MDF backer board to really make it look professional. You don't have to, but if you're selling your house,
I mean, it's interesting because I actually have been, I think you and I have actually talked about where do I start and where do I end the molding because it's a little funky, and that's a really good question. When you have somebody come in, they can actually help with those things, and I still need help with that. But I kept thinking I needed to have the texture knocked down or put MDF up. We were in a Toll House model recently, though. Lydia, you may remember this. And they had the molding all over. The whole house was done in molding, and it had the texture, and they did not do it. And it didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. It didn't look too bad. It just had the molding and there was some texture. So I don't know.
I think it also depends on the level of the house. Like if it's a really high-end home, you need MDF.
Yeah.
If you're doing a nursery and you're probably going to take it down in a couple of years and you just want to freshen it up or do a bathroom, I don't think you necessarily have to. But if you're doing like a home over, 1.5 million,
Sure.
You want it professionally.
Yeah.
That's my opinion for resale.
Okay. Great.
Okay, next slide. This was a really fun living space. This was for the same woman with the blue bedroom. And we were on such a tight budget. But again, this is the Rifle Company rug. Look how pretty it is. And some interesting wallpaper that, you know, you kind of sometimes need a professional to help you mix these patterns. But swivel chairs, because it was a very small space where the kitchen and the great room were just one long area. But just really, she really loves entertaining, and she loves blue, and that velvet blue couch is just makes you want to cuddle up, and it's feminine. But you can see on here that we found these great chairs for like $500 on Wayfair, which is for both of them. That's what was crazy. It wasn't each, it was total.
Wow.
And you can find these great lamps. The rug was so inexpensive. It was like $200. So you really can update a space for not a ton of money. I think that's one of the great things about having a designer. At least what I try to do for my clients is I give them all my discounts on Wayfair, Pottery Barn, anywhere, my paint, my tile, and it really helps offset my cost so that then they can really put the money toward the product that they want. Okay,
That's
what do we
super
have
awesome that you
next?
do that.
Okay, this is like one of those other things that I think men and women fight over often. Where do we put the TV? How big of a TV do we want? And how do we not make it the most hideous thing in our living space? And I think the way we do that is by creating a purposeful place for it. And there's lots of different ways you can do this. One way is creating an actual molding in the size you want and setting your TV in that. The sconces kind of distract you from the TV. You can do so many things. Like my neighbor's house where with the barn door, you can really make it feel built in and distract from it by doing beautiful things around it. So makes your TV look a little more like art. You know, a frame TV is nice, but it doesn't always do the trick. If there's nothing else on the wall, it's just a blank drywalled wall and your TV's on there, it can feel really blah. So here's a couple more examples of just how to make your TVs feel built in. And again, these were builder grade. They were just holes and drywall in the wall and next to the fireplace. So just finding ways to hide all your components is super important. Finding ways to hide your remote controls and things like that with baskets, and throwing throw blankets and baskets, and just making the TV feel like it's not the centerpiece. Everything around it's the centerpiece, and the TV just disappears. Okay, now let's talk about selling, because that's your guys' business. So let's see. Let's go to our next slide and see where we're going to start. Again, we know we're going to stick to neutral paint colors. And so let's talk about the best updates that you want to make when you're selling your home. Again, our neutral paint colors. You can do minor kitchen renovations. Really depends on like what shape your cabinets are in. If they're in good condition and they're good cabinets, or just an ugly color, paint them. But make sure you get a professional, or you really know what you're doing, because a bad paint job can absolutely ruin your cabinets and is a waste of money. So you want to make sure they're primed properly, that you're using the right kind of paint, the right, you know, Bondo, that you're filling all the holes, that you're doing it all right. And then quick, easy, inexpensive fixes are, you know, appliances. Those aren't necessarily inexpensive, but they make a big difference. And countertops aren't necessarily inexpensive, but they make a big impact, especially if you still have tile countertops in your home, or a really crazy granite. If you have like a really super neutral granite, you're probably okay, but you can get a nice quartz or quartzite countertop. Sometimes you can find a remnant and make your island a different color than your surround, and do two remnants that way that feel like they go together. But I think at least a kitchen update, if you're selling, if your house is more than 10 years old, there's probably something you need to do in there to help you sell it. But you guys know, I don't know the market as well as you do. Maybe things are still just selling no matter what it looks like. I don't know. Tell me.
Nope.
Definitely everything that's updated is selling much better.
Faster.
and
Okay.
faster. Much better price, much quicker.
Okay, good to know. And then bathroom updates, same thing. Paint your cabinets if you can, or buy a brand new vanity for really inexpensive on Wayfair, and just make sure that the clutter is put away. Buy some fresh towels, fresh hand towels, a couple fresh bath towels, hang them up. Get a couple cheap new mirrors that aren't just flat mirrors on the wall, something with a frame that feels just a little bit special, that matches your hardware. I would just little things like that, putting new knobs on your cabinets, all that makes a big difference. And then flooring, if your carpet is bad, most of the time I say either you're going to give a carpet allowance or you're going to replace the carpet. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. Sometimes the new clients, and you guys tell me this, they want a carpet allowance so they can pick the carpet. But what are you seeing?
I think that's true. There are a lot of people who want that allowance, but I think there's also, a good handful of buyers out there who can't see past bad carpet
Mm-hmm.
and they can't picture replacing it themselves. And, depending on, when it's really bad. So sometimes it's better to replace it, but if I were buying it, I'd prefer to have the credit and pick what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just such an eyesore, like especially if you've done a bunch of other things to it and then the carpet's old, and we can usually, facilitate those things so easily, and at a good discount too. So it's worth a conversation for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think so, especially if the carpets smell in any way. If they have a lot of pets, then you rip them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways, you can do tile. Because we live in Colorado, I'm not a big proponent of tile throughout the house. I believe it has a place in wet areas, and I prefer hardware in a home or engineered wood or even LVP. And we'll kind of go through different options on how to choose the right flooring for your space. We'll go over that in a little bit later. But again, like Sherry and I talked about, painting your front door tricorn black, and then just planting a few really beautiful bushes in the front. Anything broken, any railings broken, fresh coat of paint, fixing those up, and then pressure washing your house and porch. Very inexpensive. And then painting cabinets, again, quick, easy way to make your home feel fresh. New light fixtures. You can get really great, inexpensive light fixtures and make probably double back just on how much your house will bring back to you for making little changes like that. And again, painting outdated stair railings, things like that, kind of like the front door, that tricorn black, or anything that's like red oak, really dated, paint it black. And then Jim, did you want to talk about this? I know you were going to talk a lot about this.
Yeah, just a few things to touch on there. You can read 10 different people's opinions and get 10 different amounts. So I'm not going to go over the exact percentages that people think, because it's all over the board. But the biggest consensus is, your first thing is the curb appeal. You want somebody, when they're getting out of their car and walking to the door, when your house is listed, to not be turned off by anything during that journey. So the number one ROI is a new garage door. There's so many garage doors that are, you can paint a garage door, but so many dents and whatnot through the years that sometimes it's not worth just painting it, but actually replacing it. And 2-car garage door, you get done for $2,000 to $3,000. So it's not a huge expense. And that's one of those things that's huge. Another one's the entry door replacement. You see so many doors that are just dinged up, 10, 15, 20, 50 years old, however old they are. Even when they've been painted a few times, you can still see all the imperfections in them. So the garage door, almost 200% ROI is what I'm seeing on several sites. Entry door replacements, almost 200 also. And then siding on the outside of the house, if it's not a brick house, houses with old siding are just a huge turnoff. Sometimes even when it's got fresh paint on it, you can still see all those imperfections. That's all exterior stuff. I know this webinar is mainly on interior stuff. So like Channing was talking about with the kitchen, you don't want to overdo it. I mean, people are very specific with their use of a kitchen. We had a client last year, they updated almost the whole house, but not the kitchen. And then that was the biggest talk at every open house and every showing. So we were able to help them out, just get the cabinets painted from just that honey oak color to a white. Got new quartz countertops in there to replace the Formica countertops. And then that was the only area of the house that had a hardwood floor. So we had that refinished to kind of better blend with the LVP flooring that was next to it. And that did the trick. I think all in all, they paid about $8,000 for all of that work. And it made a huge difference. And their house went under contract shortly thereafter. So kitchens don't need to be fully gutted and redone. That's a big expense, but just to, like Channing was saying, get rid of the things that are more of an eyesore. And then same thing with bathrooms. To take down a whole bathroom and redo it, sometimes that's better saved for the new owners. But you go in some of these houses and see the mildew in the tubs and everything. So there's just quite a range of what you can do. You can get a tub sprayed for like $300 and it looks like a brand new tub, and they come with warranties and they're very durable. And sometimes that's the best way to make a bathroom look better, especially in the tub area. And then, like she was saying about the mirrors, lighting, that makes a huge difference, and paint goes a long way. So outside of the pretty stuff that we've been talking about, we always focus on the things, the high dollar items that are going to come up during an inspection: roofing, HVAC stuff, windows, all that sort of thing. And if they're old and it's going to be a big headache during the sale of the house, we can have conversations about that. But as far as the cosmetic things that you can do, I think we've touched on quite a few of those. But the big ticket items are on the outside, and then doing minor repairs on the inside. Your ROI on a small kitchen remodel could get every dollar back. It's close to 100%. A small bathroom remodel is about 75%, what you'll get back. But at the same time, I think the biggest takeaway from it is you don't want people walking in to see your house and being turned off by the bathroom or the kitchen or whatever it is, and not wanting to see the rest of the house. And that's what we try to avoid. We want people to walk in a house and say, "Oh, this is the one. This is beautiful. This is amazing." We can help you get it to that condition.
I agree. And bathrooms, what I'm seeing for like a guest bath or a secondary bath, a complete gut and remodel, everything new, it's running about 19,000. With me, it's usually 14. I have tricks that I've learned to buy inexpensive materials and use them in ways that make it look really expensive, which I'll show you in a minute. But for a primary bathroom, it really, if you're gutting and redoing like a nice luxurious bathroom, it's around 40 is what I'm seeing. Again, that's with labor, everything, materials, me, all of it. So again, we talked about keeping things neutral. You can use inexpensive materials and use them in interesting ways to make them look more expensive. I love using like a neutral palette, but lots of different textures, which you'll see in a minute. One of the big trends now is mixing metals. So everything all black is kind of the new brass of the 90s. Like it's kind of what all the builders are doing. And so you're going to see it everywhere. But if you, again, we want it to look curated. So mixing like an antique brass or burnished brass with a brushed silver, or black's not totally out, using some black, but then bringing in a gold or silver, and mixing your metals is really interesting, and it feels curated and special. And so the other thing I love to do in a bathroom that doesn't have a glass door is, instead of using a shower curtain, my mom taught me this years ago, you use a window curtain. And so you can get those tension rods lifted up higher. It brings the ceiling up, and then you get one of those washable waterproof rugs behind it. And you can get those double rods, or figure out a way, however you want to hang it. But they're so much prettier. They're sometimes less expensive. And if you put them up high, they really can hide not so pretty tile, or you can leave it open and it really makes your ceilings look tall. So that's one little trick I love to do.
Hey, before we move on from bathrooms, Jim, do you want to mention that thing that you always mention about how with bathrooms versus kitchens, like the return on investment is a little bit surprising, just because not everybody's using their kitchen to the same extent that they have in the past, but bathrooms are obviously pretty universal.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Everybody uses their kitchen how they want to. So some people DoorDash every night and some people cook every night. So to redo a kitchen in a very specific manner, isn't going to attract every buyer. So that's why we say look at the things, you know, like that client we helped, it was all cosmetic. So, you know, painting the cabinets, new countertops, and the floors was enough to do the trick, to get more buyers to approve of that kitchen. But then bathrooms, everybody pretty much uses them in the same manner. So you have a toilet, tub, shower, and a sink. And you only have so much space to do that in. You know, sometimes there's ways to expand that and everything else, but just to get your house ready to go on the market, there's obviously no need to go to that extent. But there is, from an article that we went over last time, we talked on one of these, was you get a little bit higher ROI on the bathroom remodel than you would on a kitchen remodel outside of it being a full kitchen remodel, which isn't worth it most of the time when you're getting ready just to list your house.
That makes sense. Let's see. I have some couple sample bathrooms coming up, but you can see if you are going to remodel. Oh, this is a wet room. And I wanted to talk to people about this. If you're remodeling and you have a primary bathroom that's so small, but your clients, or you know, you got to keep a bathtub in there, but you want a nice shower. You don't want one of those teeny tiny showers like this bathroom had. Wet rooms are great in small spaces. Your shower, even though you don't have a lot more square footage, it feels so large because it's so open over the tub. You can do a built-in tub. You can do a freestanding tub in there. These clients wanted a built-in because they wanted to set plants in there and things. And for ease of cleaning, they wanted a built-in, but it just gives real luxury. They had an overhead rain shower in here, a handheld on both the tub and the wall. It really felt luxurious. And this was a tiny bathroom. So you can have both if you plan it right. If you have a huge bathroom, I don't love a wet room. It's a lot harder to clean and maintain. But if you have a small space, I love it. Love it, love it. Let's see what we've got next. Okay, so showers. Yeah, let's go through. I kind of talked about this. These wet rooms are great. Oversized showers. I know Lydia wanted me to touch on this. So oversized showers look beautiful. Like they're a showstopper. You walk into probably those Toll Brothers homes and they probably have huge showers in the master and you just go, wow. They're great if you have family showers with your kids or if you and your partner have to get ready at the same time. I don't love them if you get cold easily. They don't retain heat great, especially if you have a large bathroom and you can't shut the door and stay warm. You also have to make sure that your water heater can handle it. You're going to go through a lot of hot water really quickly if two people are showering in there at the same time. And so you could have this beautiful shower and not be able to enjoy it because your water heater can't keep up. And then just remember when you're planning this, like it's double expense of the most expensive things. So all your plumbing is where I usually say you want to spend a little bit more money and buy quality name brand plumbing fixtures for your shower. So it's double the expense, but they're beautiful.
One thing, the other con is it's a lot of cleaning, especially if we walked into one and I think the shower was 12 feet long, which we were trying to figure out exactly. I mean, you could have 3 families in this darn thing. But it was in a newer build over an Anthem and it literally 12 feet. And the first thing the client said was, who's cleaning that? Because it was just one long glass piece. And so that's another thing to consider when it comes to those larger showers is who's cleaning them? Are they, I mean, because they're gorgeous, but are they functional?
Totally. I agree. Okay, now let's talk about flooring. We kind of touched on this earlier, but deciding what kind of floor you want to do or if you want to refinish instead. So many homes, I'm sure you guys see, have that red oak. Like when the boom was happening, it was just what was getting laid in every home. So I know you guys probably see it so often. There are ways to refinish that to make it look fresh and modern and ashy and to kind of get the red out. I would definitely say hire a professional. It can be very labor intensive, very toxic. Sometimes it means leaving your house for a day or two. because it can be pretty smelly and toxic if you're in that. But you can refinish cherry. I know, Lydia, you saw Lori's old house had these bright red cherry floors, and we did refinish them. We had to go dark though, because what happens is when the sun and that UV light hits those woods that have red in them, it tends to pull those reds back up over time. And so you kind of have to camouflage and go darker with cherry so that doesn't happen. Okay, so LVP. Even if we're doing this LVP, we want to stay in natural tones of woods. Those are going to be more timeless. The gray, you definitely don't want to go gray with much anymore. Gray is not totally out. If it's an organic color gray, that's an earthy color. I love including gray. I just think gone are the days of everything gray. It was an easy way for people, I think, to be able to fix up their house, but we're not doing that anymore. It'll date your home. So the great things about LVP, it's basically like a laminate, but they're great in wet places, laundry rooms, mud rooms, bathrooms, basements, in case you ever have water damage down there. If you have pets or little kids, they don't scratch easily with the claws of your dogs or cats. And they're really cost effective if you have a huge area or you're doing a fix and flip and maybe it's a lower end home or you're finishing a basement. This is a great way. And they make them in these wide widths now, and they're beautiful colors. And sometimes you can't tell till you touch them. You know, they are pretty one-dimensional, so you can kind of tell they're not real, but from far away, like, you really can't. Now you want to make sure you have the right padding underneath, because it can get really noisy with dog claws and things if you don't. It can echo and it's not great. I don't think they're as good for resale of your home on a main floor or a top floor, if it's a higher, bracket of a home, as hardwood or engineered hardwood. But they're a great way for a fix and flip. They're great for a basement, great for mud rooms, laundry rooms. Love them. There's pretty products out there.
And just
Let's
to
see
touch on that too, a lot of the home builders now are offering that. They won't even offer hardwood floors. It'd be a pretty big upgrade to go to. But I can't remember which builder it was last year. They even have it on there. All they did was LVP. So
wow,
getting more and more popular.
Mm-hmm. Here's just another bathroom. If you're gonna resell, this is a great way to use inexpensive subway tiles in a basket weave pattern to make it look really custom. Those were not expensive tiles. And here you can also see how we mix metals. So we have the antique brass sink faucets and the black mirrors, and then the combo above. Sometimes all brass is really hard to match unless you're getting all one brand. So separating those with a black or a nickel mirror is a great way to prevent that from looking like they don't quite go together. But this vanity we got online, I believe it was Amazon, and it was like $1,100. It was a double vanity. It was less expensive to buy this than to have someone come in and repaint the cabinets and get new sinks. This came with the sinks and the countertop. So sometimes painting's not always the way to go in a bathroom. You can get new vanities pretty inexpensively. And again, this is just a mood board. This is a great mood board for your clients that are like, we don't know where to start. We want to redo our bathroom, to sell. How do I make it appealing? This is how you make it appealing. Different textures of similar colors, different patterns. Again, that vanity was off Wayfair. I think it was like $11 to $1,300. Came with the countertop, came with the sinks. Again, here's a cool concealed barn door that you can add in if there's a closet or a space you need closed off. Or sometimes people hate a house that does not have a door between the bedroom and the primary bathroom. These doors are great if they're like, I would buy this house, but I need a door on the bathroom. Get a concealed barn door. They're great. You can buy new shower doors on Amazon. If you have a standard size shower, those doors were from Amazon, and you can get those, and and have someone probably help you install them. They can be a little tricky, but gone are the days where you have to hire a expensive glass company to come in and order them from them. But this is just a large scale floor tile. Here's the bathroom that mood board brought to life. So we did large scale tiles on the floor and continued them up the shower wall. We bought a more expensive tile just to go behind the vanity to add a little more interest, since it was very monochromatic, but it made a big impact by just doing a small space and keeping everything else really simple. And we did the nickel. So nickel's back. Nickel is pretty timeless. And then I know Jim talked a lot about kitchen remodels. So if you're selling, it also depends on just the cost of your home, what you're going to price it at. But if you're pricing your house at a really high price point, I know for me, I look at these $2 million homes and I think, you're getting 2 million with that kitchen? And I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I automatically am turned off, because I'm like, if I'm buying a $2.5 million house, I want that kitchen to be nice. But you do get a really good ROI on a minor or major kitchen remodel, I feel, depending, like, you're not going to do a major kitchen remodel high end in a less expensive house, but it can really help you, I think. And just keep it neutral. Gray and white's out, so you definitely don't want to do just white quartz countertops with the big gray veining. That's kind of on its way out. You want to have taupe veining in there now with some gray, with a creamier back. And white cabinets are also kind of out, the stark white. You can paint them one of the other whites I have on there, or paint them even that stone hearth or a mushroom color. If you're brave, if you can paint it a green, like a green island with a different color surround. You can always have a little more fun on an island. But the wood tones that are in right now, I would say brushed white oak is still really popular. Walnut will never go out of style. And any natural colored stained woods are pretty popular. And the two tones, like different island. You can even do the lower cabinets one color and the upper cabinets another color paint. But again, if you're selling your house, either have someone help you with that combo or just stick to one color if it takes you out of your comfort zone. This is a kitchen I did. This is a kitchen I did in Minnesota, and this is interesting. This was Woody Harrelson lived in this house when he was shooting a movie. And the neighbors said he was really nice. But this kitchen is a lake house, and they just wanted it timeless, classic. And so this countertop is actually leathered, and that's one of the new leathered and honed countertops are kind of all the rage now. Instead of the shiny quartz that we're used to seeing, the leathered makes it just hides marks, it hides scratches, it hides dirt. It's got a really nice texture to it. It's really neat and honed too. So if you can still make something look more expensive without getting quartzite, you can do a honed quartz or a leathered quartz. Quartzite is the natural version of quartz. It's usually more expensive, but we're looking for movement in your quartz piece or quartzite. That's kind of what's in now, is just movement. It can be subtle. It doesn't have to be the big gray lines or anything like that, but just keeping your cabinets really neutral. This was an off-white color. And because they had that really warm white oak island and white oak floors, it really kept it warm without feeling stark. And then take your cabinets to the ceiling if you can. I've had clients, and we hire a cabinet maker that comes in and builds false fronts, so it looks like your cabinets go to the ceiling even though they don't. And you can do that on current cabinets, and that automatically increases the look of how expensive your home is for not a lot of money. These are just some sample. I didn't do these kitchens. These are just kitchens. A lot of upper cabinets are being forgotten about, and people are having open walls above their sinks with no cabinets. That's very hard for people in most houses because they need that storage. But if you can do without the storage, I say go cabinet free in certain areas. These are some beautiful color combos that you can use. And let's see what's next. Am I on track? Go ahead, Jim.
Real quick, while you're on that one, what do you think? I see a lot of the, like let's say green lowers with white uppers.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that, and what's the take from clients that hire you?
I think it's not for everyone. For resale, I probably wouldn't do it. I would stick to the island being a different color and the surround all being one color.
Gotcha.
If you have a professional helping you and you're adding wallpaper elements and tile elements and it can all feel purposeful that way, you could go either way. But if you're kind of doing this rogue, I would say make your island one color and all the cabinets another color.
Gotcha.
Am I on track for time, you guys? Just let me know.
I think
Okay.
we're running a little long, but I think we're almost done.
Okay, I'll speed it up a little. Just changing out cheap things, your kitchen faucet, your pendant lights. Do large scale pendant lights. Nothing's worse than having these huge islands and these teeny tiny pendant lights over your island. So go as big as you can. You want about 6 to 8 inches in between each pendant. But yeah, go big or go home. So yeah, pretty much. I mean, you guys tell me, since we're running short on time, I don't really know how much I need to recap. But if there's questions, I'd be happy. I don't know if you guys have received any questions or if you guys have any questions.
I
I
think a lot of them.
got a couple of questions or um, things that also I'm starting to see a lot of is electric fireplaces instead of gas. So in fact, Jim helped one of my clients. She was buying a house. She had a wood burning fireplace in the house. We had talked about, oh yeah, it'll be really easy to get a gas line over there and let's make it gas. And Jim did it, finished it. And when I got over there, I walked in and went, oh, that's a beautiful gas fireplace. She goes, it's electric. And she ended up with an electric one.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have known. I had no idea. This thing was so good. But they're also coming up with some that are very thin from the wall back. So I've got, in fact, my daughter's house right now, she has a very small family room and they really want to do an accent with a fireplace and the TV. And we found a 4-inch fireplace that they're going to put in and build out the wall with just all it's going to take is 4 inches in, and then they're going to mount the TV and they'll be good. But they create some space. They do add warmth, and they're just you can get cheap ones and they don't look as great, but some of them look absolutely fantastic. So if you want a fireplace and you're buying a house and you want that fireplace and there's not one in there, don't rule out the house because there's a way to get a fireplace in there. They even come now with some of the gas come with completely done, so mantle and all, so you can find them everywhere. The other ways, I know Channing talked a lot about Wayfair and Amazon, which are great places, but I'm also seeing places like At Home where you can get inexpensive rugs. And they're nice. I mean, I come from a background where you spent some money on the rugs, and I will never, ever spend a whole lot of money, $1,000 on a rug again. Never, because I end up not liking them after a little while. And I have dogs. So no matter how nice they are, they don't wear well. So I would say that. But that's my 2 cents for tonight because I know we are running long.
I agree with everything, Sherry. I agree with the electric fireplaces. Great way to add that coziness if you don't have something already in place. Awesome to use in master bedrooms if you want to add them.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on the rugs after having kids and dogs. Like, yeah, you can find beautiful rugs at TJ Maxx. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite places to look.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah, I think the rest of the questions, there was questions about shiplap and molding, which we already talked about. The accent walls we already talked about. Jim talked about exterior recommendations. And I think we talked pretty well about the ROI. This is just like a general checklist if you are getting ready to sell or if you just want to do some spring cleaning around your house. This is a great checklist to go through. So we included that, and everyone will get a copy of the recording. So you don't need to screenshot or anything. We'll send you everything that we talked about tonight. And then if you guys are interested in making any improvements to your house, just reach out. We can definitely connect you with Channing, connect you with all the right people to make that happen. And then if you're interested more along the lines of selling, but you want to be strategic about it, or you're not sure on your timing, that's something that we absolutely love to do. We make a great team with that, three of us. So that's probably our forte. So we have a bunch of listings coming up where you'll be able to see that the next few months. So just thank you guys so much for taking the time to be on the webinar tonight, and just let us know if you have any questions either offline or later on. So
Yeah, my last
thank you
two
so
cents
much,
is-
Channing. You're amazing. I really appreciate your energy and just how you're just so willing to kind of work with any budget. I think that's super important right now. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you guys so
Mhm.
much. And it was so good to see everybody.
Good to
Yes.
see you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.